Let's see if we can do this again. There we go. Sorry about my glare. Okay, so I'm using the Stamparatus, and the reason I'm doing that is because, well, let me put my comments back on. Okay, good, you're back. All right. Hi, Angela and Laura. Okay, shh, we won't tell anybody that you're on here, but I'm glad you're here. So, I'm using the Stamparatus. I took the foam mat out because I'm using red rubber, and I'm going to use a little piece of Sahara sand, and I stamped on here so I knew where my placement was. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to move that over a little bit. I'm going to ink up my blossom from Forever Blossoms, and I'm using crumb cake. And what I want to do is I want to stamp that off first. So I'm going to just give it a stamp here. Then I'm going to put my piece of cardstock on. These are magnets, heavy duty magnets. So I probably don't really even need that. I'm going to make sure I'm not hitting the magnet. Okay. I like to use my fist. Okay, so this is why I use the Stamparatus. So it didn't show up that great, and I don't really want it dark, and I'm gonna have to move it, but I'm just gonna risk it today. I hope I got just that. I think I'm hitting some. I think I'm hitting the magnet. Is what? Oh, there. That's not bad. Okay. Still don't love that. I'm just going to hit this leaf again. I don't know why that's not hitting that. I don't think I'm hitting anything. There we go. Okay. But that's the nice thing about the stamp positioner, because you can stamp it over and over and it's always going to be in the same place. So what I want to show you today is using watercolor pencils and blender pens. And this has been something that I've been using a lot lately, because I'm using it in my June 2020 Grace's Garden at home projects, and that is fresh on my mind. So I'm in that at home kit, and you can still sign up for that until the end of May. You're going to be using watercolor pencils and blender pens in 2 or 3 different ways. We're going to do some masking, we're going to do no line watercoloring, and just a couple different ways to use the pencils. So we've got 2 sets in the catalog. I've got mine just in a clear case. I keep them in a case. I have room for the blender pens, and this is just a I got this years ago. I don't ask me for it because I don't know where I got it, but I keep this in on my stamp case, and this is all the colors that come in the set of 13, the number 1, and then there's an assortment number 2. And for the at home, I'm using assortment number 2. There is 10 pencils, I believe, and all the colors are on the back. And yeah, 10 pencils, and it's just a little bit less expensive. So today I used some colors from each assortment for this card. So got a little something on there. So let's get started. We're going to, I always recommend having a pencil sharpener handy. I like to keep my pencils, depending on what technique I'm using, I like to keep them kind of sharp. And so what you're going to do when you're doing your no line is outlining the images. I'm going to try not to this is where I needed Abby. So if you have comments why I'm doing this, just shout them out, and Abby's going to let me know what they are. Yesterday, I was on my Create With Me creativity group, and I asked people, do you like to color? And I was surprised. The responses were kind of mixed. Some people just don't like to color. I do like to color, and I've shared this before, but it's been a while. It's kind of a good memory for me. So when I was growing up as a little girl, I would go and visit my grandma a lot. And she lived, oh, probably about a half hour away from where my mom and us girls lived. My mom was a single mom, and she worked, she was a nurse. And so we would go, I would go, I know I went by myself a lot to grandma's, and she knew how much I loved to color. And we would go in her basement, and she had her cookie tins, and they were full of crayons. And these weren't, you know, the nice crayons in the box. These were all broken. And we would get the crayon box, and we would get the coloring books, and she had those big fat coloring books, you know the ones. Yeah, you know the ones. They were all the cartoons and stuff, and we would bring those upstairs. And we and seriously, I'm not kidding you, I was probably, gosh, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, that kind of time. And we would have our coffee. So coffee is kind of another memory that goes along with coloring. So I do love my coffee, and I do love to color. And she would, I would say, Grandma, I need a blue. And she would go through the crayon box. And that, can you smell that smell, that crayon box smell? I love that crayon. I know Abby's back there. I love that smell. There's just something about crayons. And so she would go through, and she would get me the perfect blue or the perfect green. And so that is like a really good memory of mine. Now, what I'm doing here is I am using the stamp as my guide. So anywhere where it's dark, I'm just using the pencil on those dark spots. I don't have to think about it. The Stampin' Up! Artists, art angels, I like to call them, they did that for me. So anywhere they've got some dark lines, I can just follow that with my pencil and fill in. And then I will switch now to, I'm going to use Granny Apple Green. This was Calypso Coral, in case I didn't say. And I'm going to do my leaves in Granny Apple Green.
Everyone's saying that they just don't use their watercolor pencils enough.
Yes,
They
I
want
know.
to, but they don't.
So when I first, that's exactly true. So I don't use my watercolor pencils enough either. But when I first started with Stampin' Up, I used my watercolor pencils and blender pens. That's probably what I learned with, and I was always, that was a big wow for me. I was always like, oh my gosh, those are so amazing. And what is amazing about it is when I get the blender pen out, how it transforms the pencils, and I love everything about it. Now I'm switching to early espresso, and I'm just gonna do my stems. Whoops, I went off a little bit there, but that's okay. And I am going to color in a little bit with Flirty Flamingo lightly. Do a little shading. And you'll see I'm not being super, I was a little more careful on my outlining, but I'm not as careful now. I'm just kind of scribbling because my blender pen's going to do the work for me here in a minute. Color that in. Okay. So I've got, the last color is white, and I'm going to leave that to the end. So blender pens are two-sided. Both sides are exactly the same. This is a glycerin-based product, and it helps the watercolor kind of blend. And one thing I didn't talk about is the ink. I use classic ink here. When you're doing, when you're using red rubber and you want black, I would definitely use StazOn because I can clean it off my red rubber, and it doesn't muddy. When you're using photopolymer, you can use Memento ink or classic ink, ideally classic ink, but you can use Memento ink, but you have to be really careful that you don't touch the ink. You have to kind of stay away from it because it will get a little muddy. So now what I'm doing is I'm blending out the lines a little. There's some places I want the lines to stay. And this is just, I don't know how, I hope you can see it. Let me know, let Abby know. I'm totally looking down on my paper, so she's going to tell me the comments. When I'm going to change colors, I just take it and rotate the tip until I get that green off. Now I'm going to do the stem. And I want that kind of watercolor look, so I'm going to blend it out kind of messy because I want that look. I like that look. Okay, I'm gonna clean it off. And now I'm gonna go to my flowers. And I'm blending out the lines, hopefully keeping some of it. And you'll see what I do here at the end. If I feel like it's getting a little muddy, I'll just wipe it off on my paper. Now I'm just blending color. It's not a hard thing. You don't have to, you just experiment, practice, practice. What's your favorite kind of coloring? If you're a colorer, what's your favorite? I will say blends are probably my favorite. I love the alcohol blends. I love them. So you can see that the colors kind of blending, but it's kind of, I'll say one layer, kind of one tone, but we're going to change that here in a minute. Okay, so I've blended out all my color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I'm going to let that dry just a second. And I'm going to take my white pencil and I'm going to hit some of these highlights. And it's going to help make this flower pop just a little. And I'm just scribbling it in wherever I want a little bit of highlight. Maybe where I didn't have a lot of color. Across the tops where the light would hit. You can already see them kind of popping out. Or I can, I don't know. Hopefully you can. Yeah, there. That's good. Maybe it would have been a little better if I waited just a little extra second for it to dry. I think you'll get the idea. I hope this isn't like watching paint dry, watching me color. Did anyone make that comment? It's like watching paint dry. And then I'm going to finish off with, I'm going to take my sharpener and get a good nice tip on this. I'll probably break it, but yeah, there. And I'm going to highlight some of these stamens on the flower. Make them pop a little bit. They look like they're curvy to me. If you can't exactly decide where they are, use your stamp as a guide. So you could take your stamp here and you could say, okay, I can see, here's one, because it's kind of, just use your stamp as the guide. So I'm looking here. I'm just going to look at this flower up here. That's what it's for. Well, I don't know if that's what it's for, but that's the way you can use it. You can go back and put little anthers on.
Jackie said that she has a work Zoom meeting, so her job's getting in her way
Oh,
of doing
okay.
crafting.
Well, come back and watch the replay, Jackie. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and we'll cover up that pen. We'll get those out of the way. And let's go ahead and make our card. So here's all the pieces. I am using Sahara sand. This is Sahara sand. And I'm using Sahara sand as my card base. And I'm a big proponent of the bone folder. I always attribute it to like homemade sewing at home when your mom sewed your clothes, and you could always tell that it was homemade because it just, the seam wasn't, the hem was always kind of floppy. Well, the bone folder makes your cards seem less homemade. We are losing our snail adhesive, so I have pretty much made myself go to liquid glue, and that's the fault of my best friend Betsy, because she uses this multi-purpose liquid adhesive. And so I've gone to it and I really, really like it until we get our new adhesive, and that'll be coming here in June. So I'm using a piece of the retiring paper that goes with the suite, and it is called, I don't know. Hold on, I've got my catalog right here.
Grandma said she likes her nails.
It is called Parisian Blossoms. My nails, Grandma's on.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Grandma. I did my own nails. That was one of my things. I bought a gel lamp. They're not very expensive, and I've really kind of been digging them. I even put little glitter on it, so they're doing pretty good. So I'm going to use a piece. What I do different, and I'm going to try it, is I'm going to use a piece of our vellum cardstock, and You can kind of hear it's a little heavy. I'm going to try a double layer. Now, you're going to be like, what are you doing? I think this is going to work. We'll see. Watch. Look, it just disappeared. You don't even see it anymore. This one is vellum cardstock that I embossed with the Parisian folder, and you can see what happens to the vellum. It turns kind of white, and I'm going to do the same thing here.
Tanya's freaking out about no more snail.
Oh, what we're getting, Tanya, is way better. So, but I've got lots of snail refills here, so I can keep everyone supplied for a while. So I'm gonna let that dry because it's vellum, so it just disappears on there. So see, but I like it because it's a little darker now. And then I'm taking a piece of the Granny Apple Green, and this is 3.5 by 1.5. And I'm gonna glue it down here. I want a little on my edge. I don't like it when my edges flip up. Did I get my head in the way? So I'm going to glue that on, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue my, I put my sample over here so I can see it. I'm going to glue my image on, just on a little diagonal. I'm using the catalog as my guide. That's my inspiration, and I'm not even changing much. Going to let that sit for a minute. Now it's time for me to stamp the greeting, and I stamped out of the tag, one of the tag punches, and I'm not sure what it's called. I can look and see if you're interested, or take a look. And we're gonna have this say always and forever. I am inking it with the Sahara sand so that it matches. I'm gonna leave that ink open, and I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop that up. And I'm going to use some linen thread, and it comes on this bolt like this, and I like to take my fingernails and just pull it like that, and look how it straightens it out. I do not take it off the bolt when I tie my bow. I just keep it on there, then I don't have as much waste. Gonna make a big bow. It's not hard, super easy, Jenny, you can do it. And then a little mini glue dot, and I just take it I just leave it right on the bolt roll, and take it. I'm going to put my little bow here. And then I'm going to put my greeting right over it like this. Okay. Then the only thing that I have left to do is I'm going to add some of the champagne rhinestones, and I'm going to use the Take Your Pick tool. I love this tool. And all I'm going to do is place some of the rhinestones. My new thing is to say I'm going to sprinkle them on, because it's kind of like a little sprinkling. Now, my card is not finished, because if my friend Betsy's here, she will tell you that that card is not finished until you do the inside. So I'm going to stamp the rest of the greeting from that set. So the front says always and forever, and the inside says wishing you a long life together filled with love and promise. And I don't like to just have the words. I've got to have a little bit of flowers, or it depends on what stamp set I'm using. You know, if it's for a birthday for a little kid, I might do balloons or something, but I want it to be light, so I'm stamping off on my grid paper, and then I'm going to stamp over my words, and I'm going to do that a couple times, here and then here. And that I did in Petal Pink, which matches the paper here. And then I'm going to take the soft sea foam and the leaf, and I'm just going to do a couple leaves. I'm stamping that off too, here and here. So now I've got my inside of my card. I really like that. Thank you, my friend Betsy. She's transformed me. I was a sometimes inside. Now I'm like an always inside. The nice thing with the liquid glue I found out yesterday is it gives you time. So if it's not straight, you can kind of peel it up and redo it. So there's the card, and I took it directly out of the catalog. Um, Let me go back to my face so I can talk to you. Let's see. Oh, there's my name. Okay, so let me get my name off of there. There. Okay, so there is a couple things I want to talk about. So the catalog, the retired stuff is they're gonna stop making stamps as of yesterday. So if something you really want that's retiring, the stamps aren't gonna be. If they run out of them, they're not making more. I think it was May 21st. It could have been May 22nd, but they do those in-house. So if there's a stamp that's retiring that you want, grab it. I'm also doing my BOGO sale. It's going to be online. Abby's working on that diligently every day. She's photographing. How many stamp sets did we have, Abby?
I photographed 390
390 bundles and stamp sets that I'm going to be going live with. I think I'll probably just do bundles and my stamps. The accessories and paper will have to wait till we're in person.
Embossing folders and dies.
Yes, dies, embossing folders, I have it all. So I may have it too. So that's going to be, I said June 5th, but we're also doing a training the end of June, and that kind of got bumped up. So I'm moving it one more week. So it would be the 12th. Tanya asked what my favorite inside size was. So this is 3 3/4 by 5. That is my favorite layer. Because the reason is, Tanya, is because you could go just a little bit bigger and put 2 layers. I don't know if I have one of my cards that has 2 layers in it or not. No, well, not right handy. But anyway, that's why I like that layer, because you can always add a second layer inside there if you want. So my BOGO sale is going to be bumped a week. It's going to be kind of it's a lot of work, and I'm hoping to go live with that, and then I'm going to have start watching for a Facebook group. I probably won't open it up until shortly before the sale. Then we're going to have albums, and anything that doesn't sell will be an album. And so you can look at all the stamp sets. But like Abby said, I have close to 400 sets that they're not all just from this year. Some are from the past. So we have some discounted, but BOGO means buy one, get one. So for each dollar that you spend in my sale, you get equal value out of the new catalog. So basically, what you're doing is you're buying new catalog items, and I'm giving you my retired stuff for free. So, and then in addition, I've decided for every $50 you spend, I am going to throw in, it could be an embellishment, a ribbon, some paper, some 6x6. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be giving you. So you spend $100, you're going to get 2 free items too. So again, just remember, it's buying new catalog items. You'll get all the stuff that you pick out of my retired stuff for free. The other thing I'm doing that's going to be new is bingo. Who signed up for bingo? Give me a shout out on that. We've got 19 people signed up for bingo. Plus me, that's 20. So we're going to do that next Friday. My bingo stuff comes in the mail today, so that's going to be my next things to work on. And I'm super excited about bingo. And so if you're signed up for bingo, watch for your packets to go out. I'm going to send them out. Depends on if I can get them done Saturday, or they'll go out on Monday. So you should have them by Wednesday of next week, regardless, I hope. So that's going on. And then again, my create with me at home is focusing on Grace's Garden and watercolor pencils and blender pens. So if you have watercolor pencils and blender pens, you might think about that. There's 2 options. You could just get the stamp set, or you could get the bundle. Or if you have that already, then just let me know. I do offer an option 3, and that's $18, and you get all the projects and all the tutorials. And you can still get the videos. We do videos for each project. There's three projects, but you get 2 of each, so you're getting 6 projects for that. So look for that on my Create With Me. And lastly, if you need a new um, one of these, then let me know. If you're not a demonstrator or you don't have a demonstrator, let me know. Send me a message, put it in here, and I will send you a catalog. And if you are in my Create With Me creativity group, then give me a shout out. Send your post a picture on your timeline and tag me or Create With Me, and I'm putting everybody's name in a drawing for something out of the new catalog. So make sure that you do that. And let's see what else. There was something else I can't think right now. Catalog. Let me know if you need one. And I don't know. There's probably something else, but I've gone way long enough because I think I had 15 minutes before, and now I'm up to a half hour. So you guys have a great weekend. I'm so glad that you joined me, and I hope I didn't miss saying hi to anybody. It's hard for me to see who's on, so I appreciate you guys talking to me and coming to Coffee and a Card. And I hope to see you soon. So
And we'll post the link to the boxes.
yes, we'll post a link to the boxes. Abby found it, so we'll post a link to the boxes under this video. So I'll see you soon. Bye.